set up. Okay, we're recording. Beautiful. All right, so welcome everyone. I don't have any babies, but I am my kids are all older, but I'm super excited about this class. Because I get to see Kara's baby, I think, and because I love learning this. When my kids were little, I hadn't really, when they were little infants, I hadn't yet learned about essential oils. So I missed out on that opportunity completely. So I get excited when moms are using oils right along through their pregnancy and delivery and with those little babies. So Kara is our expert today, and she's going to be sharing with us lots of goodies and lots of good information. And I'm going to be doing this interview style. So I'll be asking some questions, and Kara's going to share her experiences and her expertise. Kara, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, when you started using oils, just kind of give us, the background.
Sure. So I'm Kara, and I started to use oils it was 2017 when I was pregnant with my son. So that's when I began. I really took a look at the products that I was using, and I had a lot of concerns because I was pregnant. So I really started to shift the use of more natural products. Unfortunately, back then I didn't really use a whole lot during my pregnancy, and but this time around, I just had my baby last month, so in August, and this time around I used a lot more oils. So I'll be sharing the benefits and the different things I used today.
Okay. Beautiful. So first, can you just tell us, how do you use oils just in your life in general? So outside of pregnancy, birth, and with that little amazing gorgeousness there. Tell us a little bit about how you use things, or how you updated your home. You talked a little bit about checking your products, because I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, so my first thought was just the things that I was putting on my body, because I was concerned about things that would potentially cross over to my baby through the placenta. And so I started to slowly switch just the different products that I was using. So I took a look at my deodorant, my hair products, and my body wash, and all different things that I was using, even my hand soaps. And I did a lot of research and digging into the different ingredients in the products and why those might be harmful for me. And then I even did research on products that I was getting for my baby. So like I said, I started using Young Living when I was pregnant with my son, and people were buying me gifts. And, some of the gifts initially I thought, oh, this is nice. It's a baby product, for example, like a baby wash. And then when I started digging into the ingredients, I was really concerned. So yeah, that's where it started for me to kind of switch out what I was using. And slowly I started to see too that some of the cleaning products I was using weren't necessarily safe, not only for my kids, but also for my pets. We have dogs, and we also have a cat. So I started to look into that, and now we use Thieves Cleaner, which I use for everything. And I make my own stuff as well. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think it's really important, a lot of times people are like, okay, what oil, should I use during pregnancy, or what oil, can I use with little ones? But there's a whole picture, right, of living a non-toxic life, because the oil isn't going, it'll help with many different things, but it's not going to undo the other toxic things that either you're putting on your body and are being absorbed, or that you're putting on your baby and are being absorbed. And perfect example of that, right, is Varsha was just sharing with us that her grandchild had a reaction, it seems, to almond oil, right? And besides almond oil, not that that's, that is a nut, right? Almonds are nuts, so there can be skin sensitivities, there can be intestinal sensitivities, but there are a lot of other ingredients in these baby products that kids can have reactions to, right? So So we want to learn about oils. We want to learn about how to use oils, but we want to really be looking, in my opinion, at how to embrace a completely natural lifestyle if we really want to improve and safeguard the health of that child, right? When they come into the world, they're so clean and beautiful and precious and untainted, right? And then we start using baby products on them that contain toxic things. And so the more that we can stick with nature, which the Young Living oils are natural, unadulterated extracts from plants. And so that's why I think that piece is so important, right? To make sure not only that you're using good quality oils, so not oils that have solvents or added fragrance or anything synthetic in them, but also that you're looking at the whole picture of that child's environment, of that child's, home and cleaning products and everything else that's being used there. So that's awesome. Good job, Kara, getting that stuff out of there and switched out. I wish I could say I had done that. I did not, again, do that when my kids were babies, but shortly thereafter I did. So good stuff. All right. So can you tell us, when you found out that you were pregnant, what was the first oil that you started using?
So when I found out that I was pregnant, I started to use the first oil. Well, I mean, I use them every day, so I don't really remember the first oil, but I will say that the morning sickness hit pretty quickly for me after I found out I was pregnant.
I remember that. That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, so I was using lemon
Mm-hmm.
and I was using peppermint a lot.
Okay. Awesome.
Help. And spearmint too. Spearmint topically, because it was a little more, it was gentler for me. And I had a lot of smell aversions too, so I would have used ginger, knowing the benefits of ginger, but for whatever reason, for both of my pregnancies, I did not like the smell of ginger at all.
Wow. That's interesting. So the lemon and peppermint you did in water? Those are the vitality.
So I would use the lemon in water, and I would also just smell it from the bottle.
Okay.
And peppermint, I would mostly just diffuse that.
Okay.
Or smell it from the bottle. And the spearmint I was using topically.
Okay. I'm taking notes. Not that I'm going to go through this again. I promise.
Of course, I would have used Dyes too, but I didn't like the smell of it. So
right.
I had my son has tummy dyes, so I would use that as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little milder, right?
That has the spearmint in it, which I actually liked. So.
Yeah, and we're all different, right? So some people, if they have morning sickness, they might love the smell of dyes. Yeah. They might not like the smell of lemon, right? We're all different. So just figuring out which ones work best for you. And that combination, I think, is good. There's some that you can diffuse. There's some of the vitality oils that you could take in water. Are there any that you would say, to stay away from in that early phase?
Yeah, to be honest, I can't think of them all off the top of my head, but some of the ones that I use toward the end, you can't use in the beginning, or it's recommended not to use them. One example I have here, clary sage. This one I'll be talking about a little bit toward when Kelly asks about labor, but I didn't use it initially because they say that it can cause early contractions. So I stayed away from that. I stayed away from wintergreen.
And I know fennel is another one that they say wait on. Yeah.
I stayed away from fennel. I use it now, which I'll talk about later. But I stayed away from fennel. There's a whole list that you can look at.
And if you have this book, go here. And there's also, I don't have it out here. Where do I have it? The Gentle Babies book is also great. Yay! Right, for giving you specifics of which ones to use when. But there's a good amount in here also if you have this book. All right, beautiful. Okay, so you got through morning sickness. Yay!
Barely.
Right, I remember. I clearly remember how you were feeling. I mean, I do remember because I had it too. but I remember you talking about how awful it was. So,
I forgot to mention too, because one of my doctors recommended vitamin B6 for the morning sickness, which
okay.
didn't really help me, but the nitro actually has that in it. And I would take the
Ah,
nitro because I was so tired. I had a toddler and I was trying to just get through the day. I was sick up to 5 times a day sometimes or more.
well,
So I just had to do what I could to get through the day, and I couldn't have coffee. I couldn't really have tea. It was,
right.
I didn't like it. So the nitro was a lifesaver
Okay.
all throughout pregnancy, but especially with the morning sickness.
That's awesome. All right. Did you put it in Ningxia or water, or did you just take it right out of the tube?
I just chose to take it straight. I do Ninja as well,
Okay.
but I just chose to take it straight.
I always do too.
Yeah.
I always like that one too.
Yeah.
So if you're not familiar with nitro, Ningxia Nitro, I don't have those here either, but Kara just showed you. They're little tubes and they're designed very naturally. They have a little bit of green tea in them. They have some ginkgo biloba, I think. And then they have some different essential oils and some other vitamins and nutrients, like Kara was saying. So it's very energizing. So if you're somebody like for me, I'm very sensitive to coffee, very sensitive to caffeine in general. But if I have to be alert and awake, like if I have to drive a long distance, I'll take a nitro and it will work for me without giving me jitteriness without giving me any heart palpitations or anything that caffeine would normally do. So that's awesome that that worked for you. Beautiful. Yeah, and that's a tough thing because when you're going through pregnancy, even without a toddler that you have to still take care of, right? While you're growing another little one, most women are kind of tired during pregnancy, right? Like there's a lot going on in that body. So that could be really helpful. Okay, awesome. All right. So tell us a little bit about preparing for the birthing process.
I have to admit, I was feeling pretty anxious. Toward the end of my pregnancy, I just was nervous because, as the days and weeks went on, I was afraid that my body wasn't going to go on its own because with my son, I had a very tough labor. It was just a very long one.
Mm-hmm.
It was unmedicated and I chose that, but um, I was diffusing oils back then, but I wish that I knew of oils that I could use topically, and just different things that I could do. So I was using a lot of my calming oils towards the end just to try to help me stay calm, stay level, as I was anxiously awaiting for the birth of my daughter. So I used peace and calming and lavender. Those are some of my go-tos. And another huge oil that was just a lifesaver, because with my son, I went to the chiropractor once a week towards the end of my pregnancy. But with Valor, I didn't need to because my wonderful husband would actually massage this into my back every night. So where I had the sciatic pain, he would apply that topically to my back. We diluted it with some carrier oil. So we would use some fractionated coconut oil and the Valor. And that just helped me so much. It helped me to get sleep, and it helped with the pain. It just would take it away. I was amazed because Valor, they say that it helps to keep the spine aligned.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't need to go to all those chiropractor visits, which is nice.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm trying to imagine going to the chiropractor pregnant because at my chiropractor you lay down on your belly. So I'm sure it's a different method.
Well, actually, my chiropractor does have a pillow for pregnancy, but still, it's not super comfortable.
Right, I can't imagine that. Okay, all right. So peace and calming, lavender and Valor. So that was towards the end of your pregnancy.
Yep.
A lot, to keep you calm. And it's true, you get a little anxious. I know, with my kids, I was done. Like I was like, this kid needs to come out already. You get to that point where you're like anxious about it almost. So that makes a lot of sense. And then Valor, that's awesome.
Yep.
For the back. I had like most of my labor was back labor. I don't know if other ladies here have had that, but that's where most of my pain was, in my low back once I went into labor. So that sounds really awesome, actually, getting
Yeah,
a little massage with the Valor.
it was.
Yay. Okay. All right. So what else? What was next?
So I had a lot of water retention, especially in my legs.
Okay.
So another thing that I would massage onto my legs, I usually did it myself. Sometimes Zach would help, but was cypress. I would use cypress to help with the circulation. Of course, I would drink as much water as I could. And I love the vitality drops. That would help me to drink more water and it has the electrolytes in it, so helped me to stay hydrated. I was very picky with my water toward the end of my pregnancy. I only wanted ice water, and I wanted the electrolyte drops too. So it was just kind of funny. And now I don't want ice water anymore. So you know how it happens.
That's good. And then you were also getting oils in that. So
Yep.
the vitality drops have the oils too.
Yep.
Okay. Nice. Very nice. Okay. All right. Cypress, I love.
Yep.
That's
And another thing that I did this time that I didn't do with my son was I was reading this Gentle Babies book, and there's a section, it talks about perineum care, which I didn't, like I said, I didn't take a look at it with Alex. And so it just gives suggestions for things that you can do, you can apply to that area. So I got some of the oils before, like about a month before my due date, and I started to use them. So a couple I used were clary sage and myrrh and geranium.
the myrrh I knew about, but I didn't know about the geranium or clary sage.
Yeah, there are more suggestions, like rose is one of them, but I didn't have it in my budget. But yeah, so I used those oils, and I looked up just some different research articles about massage, perineum massage, and I did it. And when I had my daughter, I didn't tear at all, and her shoulder got stuck. Yeah, she came very quickly, and her shoulder got stuck, and I didn't tear at all. So I really think that helped a lot. Yeah, I was very excited about that, because as I was having her, I was like, oh, I'm gonna tear. But no, I didn't. So that was helpful.
That's huge. That's a big one.
Oh yeah, it was huge. I'm really glad that I got the Gentle Babies book, because it had so many good suggestions in it.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you just had me relive childbirth there for a second. So let's come back to pain-free existence. Yeah, I think any woman that's been through it, right? You can feel some of those things when someone else talks about it. It's like, whoo, okay, that's not happening anymore in this body. All right, so you go into labor, and
so I had scheduled to be induced, which I don't know why I did that to myself, to be honest, because I think it just hyped up my anxiety. But I did it, and so it came time for the day of my induction. I wasn't going into labor on my own.
Okay.
And they had me admitted to the hospital, but I had to wait around a bit because it was very busy. So one of the things that I had my husband try while I was just waiting around was to massage clary sage on an acupressure point on my inner ankles.
Oh yeah.
And turns out by the time that they came in with the Pitocin, which I was really not wanting because I had it with my son, I was in labor on my own.
Yay!
So I can't say for sure that it was all the clary sage, but I definitely think it helped. It actually, from the research I did, it helps to release oxytocin, which is what Pitocin does.
Yep.
So it helps to, once you are in labor, it helps to increase your contractions. And to be honest, it was funny because I didn't even feel that I was contracting. But when they came in with the Pitocin, the nurse said, we actually can't give you the Pitocin because you're in labor on your own. So they broke my water and just went from there.
Oh, that's so good. I had Pitocin with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I wish
It's
I had.
not fun.
No.
Intense.
And, and it's not natural, right? So anything that we can do to have natural, better for us, better for the baby. So yay, I'm so happy to hear that. Wow. Very, very cool. All right. Okay. Was there any other use of oils? I'm guessing you were in the hospital, right?
I was, yeah.
I don't know what's allowed or what you were able to bring with you. I know some people bring diffusers, but I think that tends to be more in, when they're with a doula or in a midwife setting. So I'm not sure what you were allowed to do in the hospital.
I actually was able to bring my diffuser. So for both pregnancies I was. And with my son, I didn't coach my husband on how to use the oils in the diffuser. So he used a lot more than he needed to. But nobody minded. I asked both times before going to the hospital just to make sure it was okay. And yeah, so I used my calming oils again. Mm-hmm. So I used peace and calming, lavender, valor. Yeah. Those are my go-tos. And I used this time lavender in a washcloth. I had a warm washcloth and I put a couple drops of lavender for when I was having those strong contractions, just to kind of inhale it.
Very smart.
Yep, I had my husband put peppermint on a warm washcloth and put that on my back and on my stomach. I actually didn't have as much back labor this time, but I was prepared. I brought peppermint and black pepper just to help with that, but I didn't end up using it.
Okay.
But I did bring those. And another one that I love is Gentle Baby. I brought that too to help.
Yes, that is one of my favorites. Yeah. I go through that quite a bit. Just for me, no babies, just for me. It's so calming. I don't know, it just smells like babies.
Yeah.
Don't have babies around and you like to smell a baby, just smell Gentle Baby. It'll do the trick for you. All right, cool. All right, and then tell us about the grand entrance of Miss Olive.
Yep, so she arrived finally. And she was just such a great baby from the start. But like I said, I had my calming oils going then, and I use a lot of them now. And one thing that I did this time around was I brought my own shampoo. So for her, when they gave her a bath, I brought the Seedlings baby wash. Because the hospital has their own, but like I said initially, I did research on some ingredients and I decided to bring my own this time. And yeah, she's been really good.
Unbelievably good. I mean, can everybody attest to the fact that she's been awesome through this whole class already?
I know. She's just sleeping. Aww. Yeah, so since she's been home, I've made some of my own stuff for her. So I make rollers for both my kids, so for my toddler as well. But one thing that I made for Olive was, this is for her tummy. So I made it with Roman chamomile and fennel. Like I said, I didn't use fennel during pregnancy, but I use it now. It's great for lactation, and it's also great for tummy upset and colic. She doesn't have colic, but I will say my milk comes pretty fast, and so sometimes she just has a hard time with that. And I have helped my husband work a few times, and so she doesn't really do great with a bottle yet. So that gives her some stomach discomfort as well. So I either use that or I use the Gentle Baby.
Okay. And do you put that with a carrier oil?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I choose fractionated coconut oil most of the time for things like that. I save my jojoba oil for skin.
Mhm. And is that a 5 ml bottle, that roller, that little roller?
Yes, this one's a 5 milliliter. Yep.
And how many drops would you put of the Roman chamomile and the fennel or the gentle baby?
So I did a drop of each. So it's
Okay.
just 2 drops total for
Okay.
her.
Great. So very little with
Yeah,
little ones, right?
little goes a long way, and it still smells pretty strongly. My dog is Abby.
Aw.
Yeah, so like I open this up and I can smell the chamomile right away. It's
Okay.
a little bit goes a long way. And I have a lavender roller for her too.
Okay.
Sleep time. It's one of my favorites.
And where do you roll that? Where does
So
that roll?
I roll it on her feet
Mm-hmm.
and I roll it on her spine and behind her ears too. I do that with my son as well. And since she's sleeping in our room right now, I diffuse calming oils that we use at night.
Mm-hmm.
I've chosen to use less in the
Great.
diffuser, and we put it on the other side of the room. And we don't diffuse it all night at this time.
Right.
But my son loves the the owl diffuser. Yeah, he loves it, and not just for the diffuser, but he loves the noise machine too, because it's
Aww.
a noise machine. He needs that every night.
He's such a cutie too.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, so that's an important thing because when we have newborns, you want to use less than you normally would use. You don't want to be diffusing 24/7, right? You want to give some breaks in between, and you don't want to have the diffuser right next to them, right? So if they have, a crib or a bassinet, you don't want the diffuser going, right? So they're smaller, so they're gonna absorb, and whatever they absorb is going to be more for that little body than it would be for us. So we just less is more, like Kara said, right? And a little goes a long way, right? So 1 or 2 drops in a roller for little ones is a great place to start.
Yeah.
And play with your carrier oils, right? So Varsha, if your grandchild is sensitive to the almond oil, you might try and just do a spot test, like just put a little coconut oil maybe on the bottom of the foot, not everywhere, but just on the bottom of the foot, or a little coconut oil or a little jojoba oil or something else, right? And just do little spot tests. And then you can do the same thing with your oils. So if you've never used any essential oils with an infant, you can do spot tests as well, right? So you can just take a diluted drop, right? So with infants, we always want to dilute the oils unless you're using the Seedlings line. So the Seedlings line is already diluted, okay? If you're using a Seedlings oil, then you can take a drop and put that little drop on the bottom of that little foot and just watch and see, right? Give it a couple of hours just to make sure there's no skin irritation, okay? If you're using a non-diluted oil, just mix it with a carrier, okay? Just 1 drop. Usually we say, I think it's with infants, I think it's a 1 to 6. So 1 drop of essential oil to 6 drops of carrier oil, all right? And that will dilute it, and then you can put that on the bottom of the foot and test it, right? So if you've never used oils before, you want to go small and go slow, just like we say with animals, same thing, right? Just a little bit at a time and test some of the oils out first, because you don't want to put an oil all over their body, like a full body massage, and then find out that they had a sensitivity. All right. The good news is that the Young Living oils are impeccable quality. So they're grown organically. They're grown without any pesticides, without any fertilizers in the soil. The plants are distilled properly at the right temperatures. There are no solvents that are used, and there are no fillers or synthetic fragrances or any other additives added to the oils. All right. So you're getting a really pure oil. So the likelihood of sensitivities to Young Living oils is much, much lower than to other oils, especially since most other oils have synthetic fragrance, and that's the #1 skin irritant in everything. So in cosmetics, in skin lotions, in everything you can imagine, the #1 thing people react to is the fragrance. So with Young Living, there's none of that, no garbage. So that's a good news, is that much less likelihood of reactions or skin irritations. All right, but just know we can be sensitive to anything, right? Like I could be sensitive to peppermint oil and not know it, right? Until I get exposed to it. So when you first start introducing them, just you can spot test on the bottom of the feet and just make sure that there aren't any skin reactions. All right.
And
Yeah, go ahead.
another thing that's recommended too is using the oils on yourself and letting the baby become exposed that way.
Right. Well, and the thing is, because you had been using oils,
yeah,
you had actually been exposed for 9 months already, right? So that's the other thing is if you have a mom that's been living a clean, natural lifestyle and using essential oils, diffusing them or putting them on topically or however she's using them, then that baby is already going to be a little bit accustomed to that. So again, if you haven't used oils at all, go slow, right? And you're right. Like I would say, first start using them for yourself, just like we do with animals. We say, put them on you, let your dog start to smell the oil and get used to it. And then after that's happened, then you can start, sharing them with your little ones and your pets. Awesome. All right. So she's got a little tummy roller. She's got a little sleep roller. Anything else that you like to use or diffuse around little Olive?
Well, I like to make my own sprays too. I usually make room sprays, but for her, I like to make with Gentle Baby or lavender. I like to make a crib spray, a sheet spray. So yeah, I fill this with a little bit of witch hazel, which helps to disperse the oil. And then I do 4 or 5 drops of the oil that I'm using, and then I fill the rest with water.
Oh.
Be a room spray as well, but I like to use it on linens.
Okay, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. I'm only going to ask you one more question because, it's more important to take care of her than to take care of us. So the last thing is, what about laundry? So washing little baby things, right? Like I know they absorb everything just like we absorb everything. And you want, those baby things to smell good, but tell me a little bit about what you're doing for laundry.
So I have to say, I received some used clothes from people, and some of them I couldn't use because they were so saturated with synthetic smells, like synthetic detergents, and it was very difficult to get the smell out. I tried everything. I tried baking soda, multiple washes, and it was just, I could still faintly smell the smell, and that was very telling for me because, I can't imagine putting that on my baby who would be smelling it, because clothing can act as a diffuser too with whatever you have on it. So yeah, what I like to use just in general is I like to use the Thieves laundry detergent. And there are recipes that you can find. We can even share some after this, just to dilute it.
Okay.
It going longer. And then I like to use oils on my dryer sheets, or sorry, not my dryer sheets, on my dryer balls. I don't use dryer sheets anymore. And I like to use lavender or another nice calming oil, like the Seedlings one is good too.
Oh yeah, that would be nice.
Yeah.
That would smell really good on towels.
Yeah.
You're doing that.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Beautiful. All right. Unless there's anything else that you think is really important to share, Kara.
No, I can think of off the top of my head. Like I said, well, I didn't mention, I guess, the Seedlings line. The whole line is just great. I did show the baby wash and shampoo, but we also like the lotion. There's a nice oil. It's just like calming oil. I use that.
The wipes. I use the wipes. I love the wipes.
They've been out of stock, but they're back
They're
today.
back. They're
Yeah.
back today. Yes, the Seedlings wipes. So those of you, if you have kiddos or grandkids, you can order some Seedlings wipes today.
Yeah.
They are so popular. A lot of women use them to take their makeup off. So, yeah, go get them while you can. All right, awesome. Well, thank you, thank you, thank you. Folks, we're going to end this so that Kara can go take care of little Olive. But if you have questions, if you have anything else that you would like input on, feel free to post in the Living Free Naturally group or get us the message. You can email, you can text me, and we'll get you those answers. All right. And thank you so much, Kara. And thank you, Olive, for being so good. This was really helpful for me. I loved it. I have so many notes here. And I hope you all learned something. And I hope you have a great afternoon and evening. Yeah, almost 5.
Thanks, Kelly.
Oh, bye, Olive. Good night, everyone.
Bye.